This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for October 3rd, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition, a baseball game day Feel Good Friday, a football Feel Good Friday. It's going to be a good weekend. Let's start with the Phils. It's all set up now. Tomorrow, 6:38, Ohtani versus Sanchez. Cannot wait. We'll be in attendance, standing room tickets, but I think there's been a lot of talk about on social media and the radio stations about being nervous to play the Dodgers. And look, Dodgers went out, spent a ton of money this offseason. They are the defending champs. However, I think the Phillies will be okay in this. They have a 2024 Eagle vibe to them where they've seen all of the failures in the past. They've come up short. They've been to the championship. They've lost in the playoffs. They've had their turmoil or their drama, and they came out of it better on the other side. I think this team is going to come out focused. They certainly need to be patient, specifically with the Dodgers starting pitchers. You need to get to that bullpen. Don't swing at bad pitches. And really just go back to that mindset that they had beginning of the season when they were taking pitches and their chase rate was low, and don't help these pitchers out, specifically Ohtani tomorrow. Ohtani is known to get a little wild. He's not around. I don't want to say he's not around the strike zone, but he can get a little wild, and especially with that atmosphere that's going to be there tomorrow. They really need to be patient tomorrow, and they can't do what they did in LA against Ohtani and be no hit through 5 innings. Because I don't know his background in Japan, but Ohtani has never played in an atmosphere that he's going to see tomorrow. So be patient, let the crowd get into it, maybe get to him a little early, get some runs. But this should be an epic series, and I've tried so many different ways to look at ways on how the Phillies can win it in less than 5 games, and I can't. This series, it's going to go 5 games. We're all going to lose 5 to 10 years off of our lives. We're going to be nervous. We're going to be exhausted at work for the next week, but it's going to be worth it, and I really do think the winner of this series is going to win the World Series. Because I think you're going to have such a momentum pickup by beating the other team that Milwaukee, I can't see. Chicago, can't see. So, should be good. Excuse me. I am ready to go. Now, the Phillies and Dodgers do have a pretty long playoff history. Phillies lead the all-time series in the postseason against the Dodgers 13-9. They've played in 77, 78, 83, 08, and 09, all in the NLCS. The Dodgers winning in 77 and 78, Phillies winning the other 3 times. So, and the Phillies do have, they won the season series this year against the Dodgers. The past 2-3 years, they've played well against the Dodgers. I don't know the matchups, for whatever reason. So, I think the Phillies got a shot. I'm predicting them to win it in 5. The Phillies have had success in the NLDS. They're 20-16 all time. They lost in 81, 07, 2011, and then, of course, last year they won in 08, 09, 10, 10, 22, and 23. So, excuse me, the blueprint is there. You just need to play your game, and much like the Eagles of last year, the only team that can beat the Phillies is the Phillies. If they go back and revert to their previous postseasons, the past few years where the bats go cold, the bullpen implodes, they have no shot. But if they play like they've played the past 2 months, I think they're going to be okay. And I also think they have the added intangible of this team wants to win. They realize that this is it. Everybody's getting older, and I really do look for this to be the Bryce Harper legacy postseason, where this is going to make or break his legacy and what he means. He was brought in to win the World Series. He's gotten them close, but I think legacy not only in Philly, but just in baseball. Sure, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, likely going to get the 500 home runs, all of the other stats and things like that. But he needs, and most players, I mean, look at guys like Charles Barkley, Allen Iverson, guys that never won, and that's always in the conversation when they talk about how great of players they are. Bryce Harper this is his chance to not even be a part of that conversation. He can be like World Series champion, 500 home runs, whatever accolades and stats he gets, 3-time MVP. This is on Bryce. So I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait. But Phillies Dodgers tomorrow evening at Citizens Bank Park. Ohtani versus Christopher Sanchez. Place is going to be electric. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how insane that place is going to be tomorrow. All right. One final prediction recap. At the beginning of the year, I said 90 wins and the Phillies would win a series. I said they could challenge for the division. So they were over 90 wins. I do think they're going to win minimally one playoff series. But I'm going to move the goalposts here a little bit, because I made that prediction without seeing this team play a regular season game. After seeing them over the course of 162 games, this is a World Series team. As long as they don't do dumb stuff, get themselves out and play into whatever, this is a World Series team. And I do think there's too much at stake for this team. This is a group of veterans who... You got Kyle Schwarber with the uncertainty of his contract next year. You got Bryce Harper playing for legacy. Castellanos probably is going to be gone. You got JT, who its contract is up. There's uncertainty there. I just feel like there's just too much going on. You got Zach Wheeler. Go out there. We haven't heard anything. Maybe they're saying it internally, but win it for Zach. You have all of those things. It's time to go on the field and do it. So I'm moving the goalpost with this prediction and saying they were winning the World Series. And yes, I'm hoping they win the World Series. All right, yesterday's trivia question. Who is the Phillies' all-time leader in postseason home runs? It's a tie. We have Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber both with 12. Could use both of them to add to that total this week. So thank you to everybody who reached out. Everybody got Harper or Schwarber. I don't think anybody realized. And then there's a lot of other names on this team in the top 5. Got JT Realmuto, Castellanos. So let's add to those numbers this week, boys. All right, today's Phillies' greatest postseason moment countdown coming in at number 6, 2022 Bedlam at the Bank. We all know it. We all remember it. Bryce Harper with a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th off a 2-2 pitch from Robert Suarez out of the park. Crazy. Bedlam at the Bank. Everybody's going crazy. It was rainy. It was just a miserable day. David Robertson comes in, walked 2 and struck out 1, gave way to Ranger Suarez, who saved it, and the Phillies were going to the World Series. That is our number 6 postseason moment. Like I said, we got chances to add to these numbers. Let's add some postseason moments here this run, boys. Let's go. All right, switching gears. Big Eagles game this weekend. Denver's coming to town. Denver and the Eagles don't play each other that often. Only 14 times in the history of both franchises. But Dallas Goedert did practice So there's an outside chance he might play. Seems like he tweaked his knee in the Tampa game. That would be huge. And then, of course, the other big story that's been the story all week is the A.J. Brown saga. Everybody was shifting gears and trying to figure out the relationship between A.J. and Jalen. And look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't care if they're best friends. I don't care if they used to be best friends and had a falling out. I have friends that I used to be very tight with, not so much anymore, but we're still able to, in social settings and things like that, able to get along. So they don't need to be BFFs in order for the Eagles to be good. I think this is another case of the media trying to make a story and look for angles and things like that. It doesn't matter. I have people I work with on a daily basis, and my job is way more important than an NFL football game, that when they open their mouths, I cringe. But I have to work closely with them, and you have to do what's best for your job. And I feel like this is the situation with AJ and Jalen. They don't need to be going to each other's barbecues. They don't need to be going out for drinks during the week. Just get on the same page football-wise, and we'll be happy. But again, I think it's just they need a story. AJ kind of came out and put water on the fire and was like, I apologize, my bad, blah, 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 blah. I still don't understand why he went after Seth Joyner, though. Probably not the person I would go after on Twitter. I do think it's kind of weak that he deleted the tweet then. But yeah, Seth Joyner is not somebody. I mean, Seth Joyner, if you look at him, Seth Joyner looks like he could still suit up and play linebacker for the Eagles right now. So you got to kind of be careful with that, AJ. And look, I get what AJ was saying. I get what Seth was saying. But I think a lot of times, and I can say this now that I'm a little bit older, I'm the seasoned vet. But the old head, as AJ liked to say, these guys are just trying to give you advice. So learn from those mistakes. And as somebody who was there, you don't want to hear it. But to go and attack an Eagles legend, AJ, focus on football, man. Leave the social media stuff alone. But Eagles Broncos Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. If you want more on this game, Kyle and I talk about AJ Brown, the rest of the Buccaneers game, as well as get you ready for the Broncos on the Brotherly Birds breakdown. That is available now wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Dropped it last night. We had some fun, but we talk a lot about A.J. Brown. We talk a lot about this offense and the struggles they have, and we also break down the Broncos game, find out who we think is going to win, only on the Brotherly Birds breakdown, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And then be sure to follow me on social media at Philly Jimbo on all platforms. You subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. It's the best way to stay in the loop and find out when new things drop. And then today's the last day. Get those raffle tickets to support the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. $20. You can win 2 tickets to every home game for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Union, Wings. You can also win a big TV. Trip to spring training to see the Phillies play. So $20, support the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, and then hit me up if you want. I'll send you the link, but today is the last day for that. All right, the Union has a big game this weekend down at Subaru Park against the New York Football Club. If they win the Supporter Shield. They won it one other time, that was in 2020, but this one would be good to have that nice, legit ring to it, and they would give them good momentum, good vibes heading into the MLS playoffs. But New York Football Club Union this Saturday night at Subaru Park. My Temple Owls return to action this weekend and open up American Conference play. They play UT San Antonio. And I'm anxious to see which team the Owls are. Are they the team that rolled over Howard and UMass? Are they the team that got blown out by Oklahoma? Or are they more like the team that played tough after falling behind to Georgia Tech? I think somewhere in between is the real identity. But Temple is 6.5-point underdogs. That's down, I believe it's at the link. But let's see which Temple team shows up. And of course, Villanova goes up to New Hampshire to continue their CAA play. Hopefully they can bounce back after kind of a rough start. I guess going to Penn State really will kind of mess up your flow. But Temple and Nova both in action this weekend as well. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin custom hype chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, October 3rd. First, we're going to go back to 1993. And on this day in 1993, Eagles with a 35-30 win over the Jets up at the old Meadowlands. This was a thrilling, just back-and-forth game. Eagles got down 21-0, battled back. It was still close at the end. The Jets were driving, and then Eric Allen intercepted Boomer Esiason, took it back 94 yards for a touchdown. If you probably have seen this, it was one of the greatest interception returns I've ever seen, just the way he weaved up and down the field. Gave the Eagles the lead, and then the Jets were driving again, and Byron Evans with a big stop on fourth down to seal it. The Eagles moved to 4-0, but it came at a cost. Randall broke his leg in the second quarter. Fred Barnett tore his ACL. Jeff Seidner was injured, and the Bubby Brister era was underway for the Eagles. Unfortunately for them, Bubby just did not have it. The Eagles lost their next 6 in a row, finishing 8-8 on the season. But the high point of the 93 season came on this day when the Eagles beat the Jets 35-30. Eric Allen with the 94-yard interception return, handing the ball to Randall, who was standing in the tunnel on crutches. At one point, I believe, as I was reading the article in the paper, Randall contemplated retiring. Just not a good, bittersweet day, I guess you could say, for the Eagles. But Bubby just did not have it, and it always brings me back to one of my old football coaches who used to brag about, I intercepted Bubby Brister in high school. So there you go. True story. I mean, he used to brag about it all the time. And we're like, it's Bubby friggin' Brister. But anyway, enough of that. The fast forward to 2007. First postseason game for the Phillies in 14 years. NLDS Game 1 at Citizens Bank Park. This was really before Citizens Bank Park in the playoffs was Citizens Bank Park. This is when Citizens Bank was learning how to be what it is today. As the Phillies lose 4-2 to the Rockies, Aaron Rowan and Pat Burrell went back-to-back with homers. It was the first time in team history that the Phillies hit back-to-back homers in the postseason. But, I mean, that Rockies team just got hot, ended up going to the World Series before losing to the Red Sox. So no real harm in that, but the team got their exposure. Citizens Bank Park kind of realized what it needed to be in the postseason. And yes, I'm personifying Citizens Bank Park. I realize that. But that happened on this day in 2007. And then fast forward to 2022, Phillies beat the Astros 3-0. Aaron Nola retired the first 20 batters that he faced, went 6 2/3, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Kyle Schwarber hit 2 home runs. Bryson Stott hit another as the Phillies clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2011. And we just talked about Bedlam at the Bank. We know how fun that postseason run was for the Phillies. And then 1 year later, the Phillies beat the Marlins 4-1 in the first ever home wild card game for the Phillies. Zach Wheeler went 6 2/3, struck out 8, gave up a run, no walks. Every single starter on offense got at least one hit in this game. Just was, we were riding high. Everything was great until game 6 and 7 of the NLCS that year. But the first ever National League wildcard game played at Citizens Bank Park on this day. Phillies beat the Marlins 4-1. And then on the mound that day for the Marlins was one Jesus Luzardo, and it was part of the reason why Jesus wanted to come to Philly, to be a part of that crowd and that atmosphere. So the seed for this year's run and this year's pitching staff was planted on this day in 2023.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It is Friday. That means it's time for Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Get geared up for Red October. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. Trust me, they got you covered with anything you could ever imagine. All right, so we're heading into the NLDS this weekend. So, of course, I wanted to ask AI to simulate this Dodgers-Phillies series. So, we're going to go through it game by game, give you a little recap of each. Game 1, Phillies win 5-2. Christopher Sanchez keeps the Dodgers lineup off balance. Kyle Schwarber with a 3-run shot in the 5th to open it up for the Phils. And Johan Duran comes in and saves it for the Phillies. Game 2, Dodgers bounce back, winning 4-3 in 10 innings. The Phillies go with an Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez piggyback. Dodgers, though, it was close. Dodgers, though, hit a home run in the 9th off of Orion Kerkering. I will never be able to say his name right. Kerkering. The Phillies do score 2 in the 9th to tie it and send it to extras, but then lose it in the 10th. Bryce Harper goes 4 for 5 with a double. Series shifts to LA, tied at 1 game apiece. All right, so game 3. Phillies bounce back in a big way, winning 7-3. Jesus Luzardo pitched outstanding. 6 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Kyle Schwarber was the star, though. 2 home runs, both off of Blake Snell, that helped push him out of the game. Ended up with 4 RBI. Trey Turner went 3 for 5, and Johan Duran comes in and saves it for the Phillies. All right, so Phil's up 2-1 at this point, looking to close it out in Game 4. Dodgers win 8-6. Ohtani took over, hits a home run. Freddie Freeman hits a home run. Bryce did homer in this game. Trey went 2 for 4 in an offensive explosion compared to the other 2 games. Phillies do have a chance to win this game, but Duran blows the save. And despite that, the blown save, the Phillies still had chances in the 8th and the 9th to tack on more runs. But it was Duran blowing the save. Phillies lose 8-6. Tied at 2. Coming back to Citizens Bank Park for Game 5. And then Game 5, Phillies win it 5-3. Christopher Sanchez goes 5 strong innings. Ranger Suarez comes in and pitches through the 8th for the Phillies. Schwarber hits a 2-run go-ahead home run in the 6th. Bullpen, outstanding. Ranger Suarez. Duran is able to get the save, and the Phillies advance, winning 5-3. So thanks. Kyle Schwarber was the MVP of the NLDS, hitting 4 home runs, 2 of them giving the Phillies the lead late. So AI has the Phillies winning this series 3-2. It's going to be a nail biter. It's going to take 10 to 15 years off of our lives. I'm already expecting it. No sleep. Who cares? It's Red October, baby. The Red October Express is getting ready to pull into the station tomorrow at 6:30. All right. That was Fridays with AI, brought to you, as always, by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right. On this day in 2023, Phillies beat the Marlins 4-1 in the first ever home wildcard game at Citizens Bank Park. 1 year earlier, they clinch a playoff spot after Aaron Nola, the legend of playoff Nola, is born. He goes and retires the first 20 batters. Phillies win 3-0. 2007, Phillies return to the playoffs for the first time since 1993, losing to the Rockies 4-2. But it's okay because Citizens Bank Park is learning how to be ready for Red October. The Phillies were learning how to be ready for Red October, and they come out the next year and win the World Series. In 1993, Eagles beat the Jets thanks to an Eric Allen 94-yard interception return, moving to 4-0, but it comes at a cost as Randall breaks his leg, Fred Barnett tears his ACL, and Jeff Seidner got hurt as well. All right, don't forget to check out Brotherly Birds Breakdown. Kyle and I recap the Bucs game, get you ready for the Broncos. Available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. We got a big weekend of Philly sports. We'll be back on Monday to recap the weekend. You got Phils, you got Eagles, you got Union. What more could you want? Looks like the weather's going to be beautiful, so we should be good to go. So don't tune in on Monday as we rewind the weekend. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 3rd, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. Have a great weekend. Go Phils, go Birds. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.